Hello everyone, welcome back to Teacher Alia online lesson. Today we are going to continue topic radioactivity. In the last lesson, we have learned about ionizing and non-ionizing radiation. Also, we have learned about sources of ionizing radiation, which are classified into two, natural radiation and man-made radiation. Since we know that ionizing radiation is very harmful to human body, so we should also know the safety measures that need to be taken so that our body does not exceed the limit dose of exposure to ionizing radiation. But before that, let us rewind what is the meaning of ionizing radiation. Ionizing radiation is radiation that has sufficient energy to remove electrons from atoms. Ionizing radiations come from radioactive materials. Radiation is all around us is called background radiation. It is invisible and not directly detectable by human sense. There are three types of ionizing radiation, which are alpha radiation, beta radiation, and gamma rays. In the environment, sources of ionizing radiation are classified as natural sources and man-made sources. Into the lesson, we will learn about the safety measure needs to be taken so that our bodies does not exceed the limit dose of exposure to ionizing radiation. At the end of the lesson, you should be able to discuss the way to manage the risk from exposure to natural and man-made ionizing radiation, such as the safety measure for some type of sources of ionizing radiation that we receive every day in our daily life. This is a story of Marie Curie. Marie Curie is a mom and also a researcher. Marie Curie received two Nobel Prizes. In year 1903, she received Nobel Prize in Physics. Then, in 8 years later, in year 1911, she received another Nobel Prize in Chemistry. And this is her daughter, named Irene Curie. Irene Curie also had received her Nobel Prize in Chemistry in year 1935. Unfortunately, they both had died due to cancer. Without realizing the risk of being exposed to ionizing radiation, they died caused by excessive exposure to gamma rays during their research. Absorption of ionizing radiation by human body imposes health risks, which are affected by the dose of ionizing radiation received. Excessive exposure to ionizing radiation will be risky for everyone. So, what is ionizing radiation dose? When ionizing radiation penetrates the human body or an object, it deposits energy. The energy absorbed from exposure to radiation is called a dose. Several actions can be taken so that the ionizing radiation dose received does not exceed the safe level for the human body. Figure showing example of typical doses received and dose limit for workers and the public, ranging from 0.01 millisievert to 1000 millisievert. The typical annual dose from intraoral dental X-ray is 0.05 millisievert, while a typical chest X-ray is 0.1 millisievert. The highest doses received at 1000 millisievert may cause symptoms of radiation sickness. But among all, natural radiation accounts approximately 60% of annual doses, while medical procedures account for roughly 40% of annual doses. There is no difference between the effect caused by natural radiation or medical procedure. What is the safe level of background radiation dose for human body? The annual limit for radiation dose for a member of the public is 1 millisievert per year. If human body receives exceeding dose of ionizing radiation, it is very risk for them to being infected by the dose of ionizing radiation received and can cause them a health risk. This is the example of absorption of ionizing radiation exceeding the safe level of dose received in our daily life. It is either from natural or man-made radiation, such as background radiation, taking X-ray, television, food contaminated with radioactive substances, and cosmic rays. So, what is some of the safety measures that need to be taken so that the dose received from different sources of ionizing radiation does not exceed the safe level for human body? There are many safety measures that a person can follow to protect themselves from receiving exposure to ionizing radiation. The first sources of ionizing radiation dose received is from the background radiation. Background radiation is made up of various types of ionizing radiation in the environment. Background radiation is released from various sources, including natural sources and man-made sources. Background radiation, or also called as natural radiation, is everywhere around us. It comes from cosmic rays, from plants, from water, and even from the air that we breathe. It also comes from rock and soil. Natural radiation also comes from the food that we eat and even from our own body. Since background radiation is everywhere around us, so we should use appropriate protective equipment such as spectacles fitted with anti-ultraviolet film and anti-ultraviolet umbrella or any other protective equipment as safety measures to protect us from receiving background radiation. The second sources of ionizing radiation dose received is from taking X-ray. Many safety standards have been established for radiation protection for both X-ray technicians and patients. A patient who needs X-ray should be taken X-ray with doctor's prescription only due to the risk of exposure to ionizing radiation. Radiologists will prepare a patient for an X-ray by laying a protective apron over them. The radiologist then will exit the room or sit behind a wall as a barrier to the radiation. The farther away a person is from the source of radiation, the lesser the amount of radiation is absorbed. Everyone knows that X-ray does not take long. Sometimes it only takes 2 seconds to process. We should follow all the standard procedures to avoid us from receiving exposure to ionizing radiation. The third sources of ionizing radiation dose received is from television. Usually, children will watch television in a short distance. It is not only bad for children's eyes, but it is very risky for them to expose to ionizing radiation. This is the wrong way to watch television. The correct way to watch television is to ensure the distance between the television and the viewer is at least 2 meters. That is the safety measure that everyone should be taken while watching television. The fourth sources of ionizing radiation dose received is from food contaminated with radioactive substances. If a nuclear power plant does not function properly, radioactivity may be released into the surrounding area by a mixture of products generated inside the reactor. When radioactive substances deposited on plants, soils, or water, they might enter the food chain. People can ingest directly or indirectly through eating the product of animals which have themselves eaten contaminated substances. The safety measure for contaminated food is do not eat food produced in area contaminated with radioactive substances, such as fish from, fish from the sea contaminated with radioactive substances. The last sources of ionizing radiation doses received is from cosmic rays. Cosmic rays are high energy produced outside the solar system or from another galaxy that strike the Earth from all directions. This cosmic ray, also known as galactic cosmic rays. At flight altitude, passengers and crew members are exposed to higher levels of cosmic radiation. The higher the person is from the surface of Earth, the stronger the cosmic ray he receives. Due to the cosmic ray, pilots should take safety measures from receiving extra dose of ionizing radiation by limit their flying hours to a certain period of time. A female crew member that is pregnant should reschedule their work if possible. That is the safety measures that need to be taken by the pilot and the crew member to avoid themselves from exposing to radiation, to ionizing radiation. Since we have learned the safety measure that should be taken in different types of sources of ionizing radiation dose received, now let us do some exercise to test your understanding. The instruction is to explain the ways to ensure the ionizing radiation dose received in the safe level based on the following sources. There are 5 sources of ionizing radiation dose received, which are background radiation, taking X-ray, television, food contaminated with radioactive substances, and lastly is cosmic rays. You need to fill in the table the safety measures that should be taken from each type of sources. We will discuss later. The first one is background radiation. The safety measures that should be taken is by using appropriate protective equipment. Next, second one is taking X-ray. The safety measure that should be taken is a patient who wants to take X-ray is taken with doctor prescription only. The third one is television. The safe way to watch television is to ensure that the distance between the television and the viewer is at least 2 meters. Number 4. Food contaminated with radioactive substances. As a safety measure, do not eat food produced in areas contaminated with radioactive substances. It will be harmful for our body because we eat the food that is contaminated. The last one is cosmic ray. Pilots and crew members are exposed more to the cosmic ray. So, as a safety measure, the working hours of a pilot are limited to a certain period of time because the pilot is exposed to cosmic rays. If you successfully got all the answers correct, that means that you have understand the way how to manage the risk of ionizing radiation. As a conclusion of today's lessons, there are many risks of exposing to ionizing radiation. Exposure to ionizing radiation causes damage to living tissue and can result in radiation burns, cell damage, radiation sickness, cancer, and even death. Putting distance and shielding between you and a radiation sources is an immediately effective way of reducing your exposure to ionizing radiation. Everyone should know ways to manage the risk from exposure to natural and man-made ionizing radiation to live in a healthy way. Thank you for watching this video. This is the end of our lesson for today. Goodbye everyone. See see you in the next video.